Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here to share with my previous research about design platform under system thinking. And this material is mainly prepared for the conference in 2022 about digital research in the humanity and arts in Kingston School of Arts, London, UK. I'm going to share my presentation, recording my screen and slides. Second, slides. Okay. So cool. So the topic is the transformation of design platform under system thinking. And very happy to share this content with everyone online or offline. So I'm Sheng-Hung. I'm trained as an industrial designer, product designer, and electrical engineer. And I did a lot of stuff like teaching in China and also like share the talk at this TEDx, also participate a lot of like international design competition juries, and also submit the work as well, do my side project. And I love design stuff. So once I graduated from college almost like 12 years ago, I joined design consultancy like Continuum, Ideal, and at the same time, I taught at Fudan University's Shanghai Institute of Visual Arts in China. And now currently I'm just graduated from MIT IDM program and mechanical engineering program as well, department, and work with multiple labs like MIT H Lab, MIT X Pro, MIT Office of Sustainability, and also recently I just finished my project with MIT Golf Lab. At the same time, I'm also very active in design communities. I'm the chair of IDSA Boston chapter. So just to give like quick context about MIT H Lab, we have designers, scientists from multiple backgrounds, human factors, data scientists, myself as designer, we have policy person. And then we did like, before COVID, we did a lot of workshop. Like this one's Omega in 2019. We bring a bunch of high school students and 85 plus lifestyle panels, like senior people. So they work together to tackle some complicated systematic challenges. So we have like a toolkit, we have like a paper card and post-it notes to kind of make the workshop more engaging and fun. And we also use the lunchtime with our client, with our sponsor to talk about the future home. At the same time, I used to work with MIT X Pro to talk about redesign the future online experiences and how do we apply or curate design process with system thinking or system engineering. So work closely with Professor Ed Crawley and also the TA of the class, and also MIT X Pro, Dr. Beatrice, to work on these courses. And now it's officially online, and you guys to look at the toolkit called Innovation Design Toolkit. And then for sure, some side project at MIT. So myself as a trained industrial designer, so this is like my work 3 years ago, designed the lamp with a simple Arduino kit and use the recycled water bottle to kind of reassemble the product structure architecture. Pretty cool. Also design like reshape the future MIT campus tour experiences with leaders at Office of Admission Center. And then COVID hit, right? Like 2 years ago. So this is my work featured by CNN Style to talk about how to use like some design to envision our future work environment and work condition. And this is like one of the scenario, like we think about the stickers for the food and could track its expiring date, should track its like quality and the shipment process. So this is like one of the thing. And this also made me think about this topic, design platform. So I'm not the only author of this research. I'm very lucky to get sponsorship and support from Professor Olive Dweck, Professor Maria Young, and also my mentor, Dr. Joseph Kaufman. So it's a collective work. And today I'm going to share from my perspective, my understanding about this research, this project. And before we start, I have to very appreciate like two of my mentor, like inspire me to do this project. So one is Professor Ed Crawley. I took his class called Fundamental of System Engineering class. When it's my first class when I joined MIT as an undergrad, as a graduate student, and also Professor Cai. So he's from China, Tsinghua University. So we also talk about a lot about this topic. And also two classes, definitely fundamental of system engineering class, also technology road mapping and development is taught by Professor Olive Duac. And also two of my lovely entrepreneur English translator, Susan and Ro, they helped me a lot on this project in terms of writing and all the structure. So the idea of this study is like, the study examined the organizational transformation of digital design platform, and we call like DDPs, to present the considerations of DDPs, value propositions, service offerings, and sustainable business models. When we face large, complex, systematic transformation challenges, especially during the pandemic, we must make meaningful change to a DDP to rise to these social technical challenges internally and externally to generate positive social impacts and create value for design individuals and communities. So the idea is like we view this design platform or digital design platform as an organization, and then we have kind of three categories in this platform. So which include like design competition, different design award, and also like the second one is a design professional association like IDSA, Industrial Designers Society of America, or like Design for America. And the last component we will cover is like design companies. So like OpenIDEO or like other like website traditional product design company. So these are all like what like DDP, and then who's our users? Like we use the term in the study, which user indicate like people who want to receive award recognition through DDPs, or people have engaged or interacted with all these DDPs service offerings. And when this is happening, when we study this, it's basically during the pandemic, like 2 years ago in 2020. It's kind of more like we haven't finished the pandemic. It's more like in the early stage of pandemic. So the research conduct through like the virtual communication channel, like a Zoom call. We have like 7 semi-structured expert interview, and also we have like an online kind of gathering the information from all this website, and also at the same time do some literature review. So definitely we know like due to the pandemic, people's daily life, interaction with others, and work and communication patterns have dramatically changed, which significantly influence companies and organizations across different scales and industry. So DDP has also been hit by the huge, intense socio-technological impact of COVID-19. So in this study, we conduct 7 semi-structured expert interviews and demonstrate 10 case studies across 3 categories. Like I said, like design competition is the first one, design professional association, the second one, and the last one is design competition, to talk about DDP's transformation associated with the COVID-19 in the lens of system engineering or system thinking. So the goal is to analyze the organization change and its impact on DDP's service offering, business model, and organization culture in an effort to better prepare new capabilities in the area of socio-technological transformation. So that's kind of the abstract of this study. And we talk about the object process methodology later, OPM. So you can see this visual here it's like how we decompose DDP through the lens of OPM. So in this presentation, we have 6 chapters. Chapter 1, introduction, talk about the context of this research. We have literature review in chapter 2 to talk about some what people have done this area before, but very little. And chapter 3 talk about how we're going to solve this, right? How we're going to conduct the experiment research in this study. So it's about research method. Chapter 4, the result of the study. Chapter 5, the discussion, some provocative question and like suggestion from other experts. And the last chapter is about conclusion. So chapter 1, introduction. So basically if we could learn this actually from our abstract, but the actual study brief or design brief in this study is like how to envision the service design and business models of DDP, digital design platform, through the lens of expert interviews and system thinkings. And here we specifically use like two approach, areas framework and OPN, I will mention later, to adapt to the needs of users. Here we kind of think about not just designers, also students and design educators that provide value from design award recognition to educational purposes, community buildings, and creative culture cultivation in the era of pandemic. So that's kind of our like initial study or research brief. And here we list out like the 10 case studies of DDP for this research and for analysis. So from DDP 1 to 4 is more for first category, which is design competition. We have IDA International Design Award, we have IF Award, we have Course 77 Design Award, or like they call like Students Showcase, and we have like Global Grad Show in Dubai, we call GGS. And then from DDP 5 to 7, we have the second category, which is we call like Design Professional Association, including like IDSA, Industrial Designers Society of America. We have Design for America, DFA. We have World Design Organization, WDO. And the last 3 DDP, we talk about category 3 as C is like design company. So which include like Open IDEO, Fast Company, Whipsaw. So let's jump into chapter 2, literature review. So here we, because we view DDP as an organization structure, as a systematic challenge. So here we cover like 3 components: system thinking, areas, architecting innovation, innovative enterprise strategy framework. And we also use OPN, which is called object process methodology, to kind of analyze this topic. So we view a DDP as a one-type organization architect that provides 3 different services, and its marketing position is also different. So for system thinking, we first talk about system. So what is system, right? A system as a set of entities and their relationship whose functionality is greater than the sum of the individual entities. So this is actually from a book co-wrote by Ed Crowley and also the rest of 2 authors to talk about their definition of system. Another way to look at system is like a system can be expressed as a set of elements collectively connected, performing a specific function that cannot be created by elements alone. So that's another way to look at system. So actually we try to explore, understand the system thinking through understanding system first. And we explore 2 major system analysis tools, which is areas framework and OPN, from the concept and theories to applications. So we move on to talk about system thinking, right? So system thinking can be described as a part of system engineering. And system thinking should cover 3 parts. Terms to describe complex entities and their relations, or it's also like a module-based approaches to illustrate real complex phenomena without having to simplify them unduly. And it's approaches that support holistic thinking. Another way to look at system thinking from Professor Ed Crowley is like, system thinking does not mean to think systematically. Instead, it means to view themes as systems. So applied to this context of this study, we view DDP, digital design platform, as a system, right? To look at its subsystem, its different elements, different entities, and understand its form and functions. So to sum it up, it's like one of the benefits to apply system thinking is how it helps us to decompose its complex systems and make them appear less complicated. Easy for us to understand, also easier for us to analyze the context, the real challenges within the system. And then we move on to the second part of literature review. It's talk about areas framework, architecting innovative enterprise strategy. So Nightingale and Ronalds introduced this framework to analyze the architect enterprise transformation process, which is very helpful for this research because you have 3 components. The first one is the enterprise element models, and the second part is like architecting process model, and the last part is about analyze techniques. So the first one, they have 10 elements, and this element is like from broader perspective to look at the organization to like the more like focus on certain part of the organization problems or process, and from cover like ecosystems, stakeholders, the strategy, information, infrastructure, and products, services, and including the process, organization, and knowledge. So you could zoom in, also like zoom out to get a holistic view about the organization or enterprise. The second part, architecting process model, is like it helps you to walk through like the steps, like understand the strategy, right? So strategy, understand the landscape, who are their stakeholders, and how do they capture the current architecture, their current system, and then create a holistic vision of the future. And then start to generate the ideas of architecture, focus on the future architecture, and also how to develop the implementation plan, right? You have ideas and all the way to execution. So that's the process model, which is helpful. The last piece, analysis technique, is more like this, like plug and play. You could choose, like, depends on which kind of research or a target or the final deliverable you're looking for. You could choose like swap or like pure analysis or like future proofing. So these are like very flexible way to apply to kind of understand these complex issues. And I'm not going to this in detail about each element, but these are the things we apply to this research to understand the DDP in different from multiple different perspectives and lenses. So the last piece of literature review, we talk about object process methodology. So this is really useful analytical system modeling tools developed by Professor Dov Dory at Technician. So knowing how to use OPM properly can help us as at an organization level to break down all the elements as an object and process. So the idea is like, if you view the world as two component, right? Object, process, and within each object, they have different state. And then the object, we have like a physical object. So physical one, also we have informational one, for example, like the interface, right? And then for the process, like the process try to simply say, it's like it helps the object to change its state. So let's use like very straightforward example. So you could see the red square, red boxes, it means object. So object one, object two, within the red boxes, we have two states, like for example, state one is a break even, state two is a profitable. And the green oval circle is like the process. So it helps to change the state of the object, right? So here you could say like, so the process we call like new value proposition for digital design platform. It requires the DDP's leadership team to support. At the same time, it also transforms the DDP's business plan from break even to profitable. So that's the way we see how we use OPM. It's very helpful, especially like when you tackle with very complicated problems, challenges. And we try to use this as a way to understand our DDP. So let's look at our research methods. So a very straightforward way to look at this, like input, output, and there's analysis, right? So input, we definitely conduct literature review. We have 7 structured expert interviews. At the same time, we did like 10 digital design platform case studies. When we have this input data, we put into methodology like we just talked about, areas framework. We use OPM to understand the problems. And then we have like 4 key takeaways: craft a new partnership connections, identify criteria for transformation, and we also think about create for engagement level, leverage collective talents and resources. So these are like 4 key takeaways for this research. So these are like very simple way to look at our research methods. And then at the same time, when we do like 7 semi-structured interview with our expert, we try to look at expert from diverse backgrounds to ensure we capture the bird's eye view. And also our recruitment criteria include the interviewees like industry position, their experiences in design, their gender, and their location, which is also their culture-wise. So these are like 7 interviewees, like background information in this research. And let's move on to see the result. So When we did the expert interview, we tried to understand how do they envision the future of DDP? How do they align the value proposition of DDP with users' unmet needs? How do we catering their market change in the pandemic? And how do they define the sustainable DDP service model through the lens of system thinking and design? How do they build a resilient business to provide meaningful and valuable service for DDP users? And then we come up with like three high-level learning or key takeaways. Consider users' essential needs and motivation through the lens of DDP design. View evolution of DDP as an organization transformation and product lifecycle. Envision the future of DDP by identifying its design implication and business opportunities. So these are like three high level we learned from the expert interview, and you can have more detail of this to read our paper. And then we also look at our outcome of DDP analysis of the 10 case studies. Let's look at category 1, design competition. Here we cover like international design competition, international design awards, Core 77, Global Grad Show, and IF Design Award. So IDA, International Design Awards, they provide like grants to kind of encourage designers or design communities to tackle this like pandemic challenges. So including category like product design, architecture and interior design, graphic design, and fashion design. For IF Design Awards, it's very interesting. They also think about their judging criteria, right? It's less about beautiful or aesthetics of the design. They also look at like, is it like impactful? Is it socially impactful? Is it more eco-friendly? Is it more transparent? Is it have more insight? So these are like, they change the criteria of the judging process. At the same time, they also provide very detailed like report from all the judges to help the participant to be more engaged and know how they can improve their work. Core 77 used to be like online design publication platform, but because of COVID, they transformed themselves by providing another services, which is, they say, it's like student showcase. So this is like in 2020, 2 years ago, they provide this like online exhibition. So you can see they have school collaborate with the Core 77, and then they also invite the guest reviewers, some are very famous designers or like very famous companies owner. They help the students to critique their work, also get the feedback online. And for Global Grad Show, you can see like they used to be famous for like, students submit their graduation project, but now they not just like receive all this project, at the same time they want to celebrate to make this project real on the market. So they invest money on like accelerator, incubator to make sure the good ideas got selected, and then they will get sponsored from the government or from the platform itself to really make this happen. So the second category is Design Professional Association. And this one is interesting, like we cover 3 IDSA, DFA, Design for America, and also WDO, World Design Organization. For IDSA, that during the COVID in 2020, they created the one page to cover not just the resource the community can use. At the same time, they also promote some interesting tips or stories for IDSA design community members. At the same time, DFA did the same thing. So they not just gather resource, they also celebrate people's story by posting blog stories about pandemic, also like how they can react more like responsibly, and everything it's well curated. And also that for me, when I look at this, I also realize, wow, that's really changed. They really changed because of COVID. Not just provide the knowledge on design, also provide knowledge on life. For WDO, this is an interesting one because they launch a new like a service offering. They call like a Young Designer Circle. So people who under 40, they could join this like community to really tackle the complicated systematic challenges. In this case, it's definitely focused on pandemic, but they try to leverage the talents, not just like, oh, they accept the award or become the member of WDO. They want to know how can they leverage the design power to really make difference, make a change for this areas of like challenges. The last category is like design company, and here we include like OpenIDEO, Whipsaw, and Fast Company. So you could see like OpenIDEO, they used to be very famous for online crowdsourced ideation, brainstorming platform. And during the COVID, they focused on COVID related topic. Like, for example, reimagine the learning experiences, learning challenges, or think about their business like pivot challenges. At the same time, also think about communication, implementation challenges. So they kind of make this challenges like more specific, right? COVID influenced business, COVID influenced learning, COVID influenced the way we work and how we communicate with others. So very interesting to see the content also change because of COVID. And Fast Company, because of COVID, they create another like column specific for COVID-19 to report the stories around design, related, how design influenced the COVID, or how the designer kind of try to solve this tough challenges. And at Whipsaw, I think this is interesting because similar to like Core 77 did, like they invite expert and to critique students' work. And then Whipsaw, they did this more intimately. Like they select the students, at the same time invite the panelists to give them like very detail-oriented critique, suggestion, feedback. At the same time, it's open to public. And I think the very interesting part is like after this critique section, the website will send the information about the students, their work, the link, their portfolio. At the same time, you could follow up with them. You could also give them feedback from your perspective, which is very, I think it's very sweet. At the same time, it's very like, you feel close to all these like presenters. So because of that, we analyzed like 10 DDP case studies. So we try to generalize the system diagram. Then here we assume like, okay, DDP, the main purpose, like they want to promote good design, right? So put the good design as a process, as a main value proposition in the center, and look at all the key stakeholders. There's a jury group, there's a designer group, there's a company, and there's a resource, equipment, funding, exhibition staff, and definitely you could see the core COVID-19 is also one process influence the whole system. And this is a level one. If you zoom into it, the promoting good design, there's a bunch of the sub process. For example, how to establish criteria, how to receive works, how do you selecting works, and how do you notify winners, how do you display works. So these are like sub criteria, sub process within the main process. And then we try to use this to like generalize DDP system diagram to analyze our 10 case studies and also our synthesize the input from literature review and the 7 semi-structured expert interview. So discussion, I won't go in detail here. So mainly like how do we reshape the value of DDP beyond the word recognition, and how do we think about develop DDP systematic approach to reframe and solve problems, and how do we envision the future of DDP through areas enterprise element models. The last piece is about conclusion. So like I said, 4 key takeaway here across like we use like 10 case studies to kind of map out this like 4 key takeaway: craft new partnership connection, identify criteria for transformation, create for engagement level, and leverage collective talents and resource. So the first one, when you think about this, like craft new partnership connection, we think about Global Grad Shield, right? So they work closely with the government and design community to get a resource to make sure the really good ideas can go to market. So they have like investment fund, they have like angel fund, they have like incubator and also investor to really help this great design from concept to real product. The second takeaway is like identify criteria for transformation. So the great example is actually from IF Design Award, right? They think about their design criteria. So the jury group and also the staff from the design platform, they think about the criteria, it's not just about aesthetically or not just about user experiences, also think about the social impact, especially in the COVID. How do you design this product to generate a great social impact? And then the third takeaway is create for engagement level. So one of the obvious examples, like IDA, they provide like funds, the grant to encourage people to join this. Definitely not for the money, also for the social impact. And for Websaw and Core 77, they have like a online kind of showcasing platform to encourage students to have more connection with the platform. So it connect with government, with a design community, with culture, with participant. Also, they probably need more resource to make this happen. The last piece of the key takeaways, like leverage collective talents and resource. So the one of good example is from WDO. They have like a young designers circle. So that's a good example to leverage the participant, not just giving a award recognition, also they can really tap their design superpower to really solve the complicated social challenges. So for the study, we think about 3 points. How do we refine the term digital design platform? What are the other definition or interpretation of this platform, this term? At the same time, how do we establish the systematic analysis research approaches, and also like reconsider critical elements in ecosystem in the context of transformation? So that's my presentation for this paper. I hope you like it. If you have any question or thoughts, please feel free to email me. And we're going to publish the journal paper soon, hopefully. And thanks again. And I hope I can see you guys in person soon. Thank you. I'll just stop record this.